that starts to alarm the regulators, right? So the store of value and the medium of exchange starts to like threaten, is the US dollar, like, especially when you have articles written by, Jack Dorsey. Every time he opens his mouth, right, he's like, oh, like the Bitcoin should be the legal tender of the United States because it's working so well in El Salvador, right? But in essence, that kind of stuff freaks out regulators, right? So another risk we're going to see is that the regulators are going to take a very, very heavy hand because it is financial, because like they get it, right? When they see blockchain, they just think cryptocurrencies, as honestly as they should, because like, as I said, you shouldn't be building an app to upload photos to Interpol with the blockchain, right? That should just be a simple file streaming system on some type of cloud server, right? So that's actually the other risk, right? Which is the very nature of the solutions you're going to see on blockchain, the things that blockchain is really good at, right? Making these solutions easier for us to go build, are going to be right in the crosshair of regulators. And then the third is, as people rush into things, there's going to be a lot of startups, there's going to be a lot of figuring things out, which leads to the whole nefarious side of things, right? Like, and the web suffered through this too, right? The web suffered through, like, in the early days of the web, there were scammy websites, no one wanted to put their credit card. That stuff ironically gets solved with, the relationship and the integration with the regulation, right? So the third risk, I'm not as worried about the scams. Like, when I tell people, like, oh, you work with crypto, and like, oh, that's all scams. I'm like, yeah, I go, you said the same thing 25 years ago about the web. I'm not too concerned about that, right? But I am concerned about people building inappropriate solutions for the technology, right? You don't need a decentralized blockchain to replace Visa. Like, Bitcoin can do what, like 4,000 transactions on a second, and Visa can do 40,000, right? Last weekend, Solana did 0, right? So, ultimately is the solutions that are out there are going to like have a place, and where we're moving in the future probably be like a hybrid, right? There'll be fiat, there'll be crypto, right? Again, I'm also leading into some of the reasons why I really like this project, which, I don't know if you want to drill deeper into the risks, or if you want to talk a little bit more about something else.
Yeah, I mean, I think you hit something that's really interesting. There's definitely a ton of redundancy in the space, but also things that are built on blockchain that definitely don't need to be that way. And in fact, it makes it even clunkier, right?
Exactly. And clogs up the system.
Yeah, and it even assigns value to something that most likely wasn't supposed to be assigned value in that way. Specifically when you're talking about things that work better, Web 2, and actually smoother. I'd be interested to know if you have any like top of mind large examples of this, that things that are being built today that are being built in a way that blockchain just makes them clunkier.
Yeah, I'll give you number one, and you guys will chuckle because we have a bit of an inside joke about it. But video games, like, why on earth do you want to blockchainify a video game, right? And you're like, well, we can have an in-game economy. Newsflash, there's been in-game economies on video games since the beginning of video games, except maybe Pong in like the 70s, right? But like, seriously, for the last 30 years, you've been able to buy gold coins, right? Ooh, stable coin, right? Nintendo gold coins, Sega gold coins, and spend said gold coins in a game and collect games. And so why would you want to make my game now suck by putting it on the blockchain, right? Like seriously, why would you want to do it? So that is one area that I and you're going to tell me, some hater is going to write in about Axie Infinity, this, that, like, it's enabling new business models. I knew people, I forget the game now. God, I wish my friend Richard was on this call. He would tell me there was this game about 20 years ago, and he had a buddy that basically just, created characters, right? Sold, spent all day playing the
RuneScape?
Game. No. I mean, it was, oh God, it was right, whatever, like, became right before World of War. It will come to me later. But ultimately, these people played the games, and they would build up the characters, get the guns, get the this, get that, and then sell them on eBay, right? So, you say, oh, we need NFTs, so the characters are immutable between. they were able to just do it right, like transfer. They would sell the characters on eBay. They would sell the loot, all that kind of stuff, right? So, and then you would say, well, all these people in the Philippines are making money by playing the game. Like this guy was sitting in Canada, in Vancouver, playing this video game. They're saying EverQuest. I don't know if it was EverQuest, but it could be EverQuest. It was in that generation, not Diablo. But ultimately is. I think video games, there's very narrow use cases where blockchain makes sense. And what those narrow use cases are, I don't know. I don't play enough video games. I have a 6-year-old. I play video games with her. So like I'm not as sophisticated as like the big time gamers. But judging by the reaction of the big gaming companies like Ubisoft, right, saying, oh, we might experiment with some NFTs, which I actually think is okay. Like if Ubisoft wants to like, add a little layer of NFT over here to hang it on to their game, that's fine, right? But like NFT, like blockchain-based games just make no sense. First of all, why should I pay gas fees to play a game, right? Like in that respect, right? Like, I mean, just, besides the game, besides the notion of the game itself. And then speaking of gas fees, right? In addition just really to like where you're going with the gaming, the ability to facilitate like, let's say, like small micro transactions is not really the vision of blockchain either, right? So I see a lot of folks building, like financial services that are better left to fiat, right? Like let's say insurance. Like, I know like you can get you get the canonical example of like, oh, I have an Airbnb and I can open up the door with the smart contract. Well, guess what? I can do that with an IoT device and a jQuery script. I guess not that hard, right? I don't necessarily need to complicate it, right? So, but ultimately is when you have things like, the gas fees exist for a reason. And the fact that we have high gas fees are telling me that the system is being clogged up with a lot of useless junk, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it seems like we're going into this this NFT boom coming into, as we start with 2022 and making sure.
I'm bullish on NFTs. Well,
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know if you had a question in there, but I just had to interject that my previous rant on like games has nothing to do with my bullish on NFTs.
Yeah, I think, just like everything, you see it with the ICO bubble. There was plenty of good projects that came out of that, and you see them today. And there was also plenty of trash and things that were more just cash grabs. And I think we're seeing a similar idea with NFTs right now. And that's something that, when we think of NFTs for this project and how to use them, we do think about utility, and that aligns with the regulatory idea about crypto, I think, and that's something that's very important that we're always thinking about there.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think on one hand, the people criticize NFTs the way I criticize, let's say, the video games that were just, quite frankly, just making an experience worse, right? Like, meaning is anything that by choosing any form of technology, doesn't have to be, because obviously I wouldn't be here if I wasn't bullish on blockchain. I'm just bearish on improper uses of blockchain, right? So in essence, if you're going to go take my experience of playing a video game and make it worse because of your technology choices, or more expensive because of your technology choices, then you chose the wrong technology, right? So with NFTs, I feel like the market will weed that out, right? Like if you're building an NFT that is just so silly that the gas fees are because NFTs are only going to increase in its popularity, especially now you see like all these more mainstream places doing NFTs. Like I missed it this morning, but I've been trying to buy the Associated Press photography NFTs, but it's at the exact time I go to the gym because they're on East Coast time. I'm in the gym at like 6:30 in the morning. So it's like, I can never get the drop. Like, like they're only selling 200 of them. And I get in and I'm like number 400th online. I'm like, well, okay, I'm not gonna be able to buy this, right? But ultimately, as you see NFTs evolve, you're gonna see a lot of junk out there, as you said. Like, but when the gas fee is more expensive than the NFT is when you know that NFT should not exist.